said it does not matter whether he or another leader is chosen, insisting that he would work with whoever is selected to challenge President William Ruto. Gachagua urged opposition leaders to put the interest of Kenyans ahead of personal ambitions, saying a united opposition should be built around the needs and aspirations of the people. He also said the opposition coalition is ready to participate in a free, fair and credible 2027 general election, calling on electoral institutions to ensure transparency throughout the process.
The evils that be there for this country. William Ruto must be one term and must be sent home. That message was clear. To achieve that, I have been told and I'm persuaded that the United Alternative Government must identify one presidential candidate to face William Ruto in the next general elections. Kenyans have made it very clear that we cannot gamble or take any risk that might bring William Ruto back. Kenyans are persuaded that we must do whatever it takes, including sacrificing our own personal political ambition, to identify one single presidential candidate. This is the only way to set this brutal regime home. One way and one round on 10th August 2027. I have been so persuaded. Objective number 3, Kenyans have told me that they have analyzed and decided that Rigathi Gachagua needs to be the preferred presidential candidate of the United Alternative Government 2027 general elections. Kenyans have instructed me to persuade my colleagues that I'm the best bet to guarantee a first round win, and that in their assessment of the energy, of the trust of the people, of the leadership qualities, of the experience, the infrastructure, the capacity, and the political network to deliver that victory. They have told me clearly that in the event that my colleagues persuade me otherwise, that I should not be the single presidential candidate. I should not in any way be the reason why the United Alternative Government should fail to have one single presidential candidate. In a nutshell, they have told me that in case I am not picked as the single presidential candidate, I and my supporters must back to a man, whoever is chosen to be the single presidential candidate. My countrymen, there comes a time in life when a patriot must make sacrifices for his nation. That time is now. As I leave Wamanyoro today, the road leads to only one place now. Forward to 2027. Forward to the liberation and restoration of our country's dignity, and forward to the Kenya you have been yearning and aspiring for. I and my supporters must back to a man, whoever is chosen to be the single presidential candidate. My countrymen, there comes a time in life when a patriot must make sacrifices for his nation. That time is now. As I leave Wamanyoro today, the road leads to only one place now. Forward to 2027. Forward to the liberation and restoration of our country's dignity, and forward to the Kenya you have been yearning and aspiring for.
Mukurweini Member of Parliament John Kagusha has appeared before the National Cohesion and Integration Commission (NCIC) to respond to allegations of incitement. Kagusha's lawyers told the commission that his remarks had been taken out of context and insisted that the MP had no intention of promoting hate speech or inciting the public. The lawmakers also spoke about his arrest, saying he was detained by a group of men wearing caps before being taken to police station in Kura and Kamukunji. Kagusha further claimed that he was initially charged under Section 10 of the Election Offences Act, but police officers that the provision applies only during an election period.
I was also marooned by 48 hooded men, and the time I was arrested, when I was taken to Karura and then I was taken to Kamukunji police station, I was booked under the Elections Offences Act, Section 10. And then someone along the way discovered that the Elections Offences Act can be applied here because it's only in operation when there are elections. And so the DCI, after a lengthy meeting, we had to wait for 3 hours, arrived to the conclusion that they needed to charge me under the penal code 94. And of course, which is really a misdemeanor. And of course, they had also to gather up to 8 prosecutors from ODPP to appear in court on a case of a misdemeanor. And then everyone wondered, why are you not charging him under the Act? And many people have argued that probably because the Commission Act, Section 13, clearly puts it and gives the threshold under which Commissioner Jerusha, I'm sure you are seized of this particular issue. The Section 13 of your Act gives the threshold under which you can charge someone on hate speech, which of course some people argued the reason why this has not been taken so far as a charge is because the remarks, the utterances that we may have given do not in any way meet that threshold. And really, that is what some of the people have thought. All the same, Chair, with tremendous respect to the NCIC, we ought probably to have, had this as a first point of call. But now, because under the multi-agency operation, that was not considered as a first point of call, I think the only logical, and not just logical, but maybe the most respectful thing to do is to allow the process just roll on. And should the Commission require to come on board, or even Commissioner Jerusha, even if the Commission wanted to on board, let me have the, she is the chair of the technical. Even if the Commission really wanted to on board on this matter, the Commission still has an opportunity at the court where you can even amend the charges and
People's Party leader and Kiaru Member of Parliament in Nyoro has raised concerns over the state of security in the country, education funding, government actions informing or involving former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the management of electoral technology by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. IEBC Nyoro said Kenyans are witnessing deteriorating security, citing cases of robberies, road blockades, and increased threats from armed criminals. The lawmaker also questioned the government's approach to funding education, urging authorities to ensure schools receive the resources they need to support learners. On the political front, Nyoro raised questions over government actions involving former President Uhuru Kenyatta, while also stressing the need for transparent and credible management of IEBC electoral technology.
Na jambo la pili ambayo tungetaka tuseme tunaona ni shida hapa Kenya ni mashida ambayo Wakenya wanapitia kwa maneno ya insecurity, mambo ya elimu ambayo tunaona inadidimia, mambo ya healthcare na mambo ya ukosefu wa kazi na generally kukuza uchumi wa nchi ya Kenya. Tusiambie Wakenya kazi imefanyika. Kama kazi imefanyika, Wakenya wanaona na wataona. Na kama kazi haifanyiki kama sasa, pia Wakenya wanaona kabisa ukosefu wa security. Tunaona wahuni wanaenda kupora Wakenya, wanafuga barabara kama ya Thika Road juzi. Wanafuga only 1 kilometer to DCI headquarters. Wanapora Wakenya pahali DCI iko 1 kilometer away. Kabisa tunaona kule Homa Bay wahuni mpaka wako na guns, wanashuti wa raia, wako na mapanga. Na tunapigiwa kifua hapa ati serikali imefanya kazi. Ile kazi ambayo serikali inafaa ifanye kabla ya mambo mengi ya kuongea is to make sure that the security of the Kenyan people is guaranteed. But unfortunately what we have seen is the exact opposite of that. Ati serikali imefanya kazi. Ile kazi ambayo serikali inafaa ifanye kabla ya mambo mengi ya kuongea is to make sure that the security of the Kenyan people is guaranteed. But unfortunately what we have seen is the exact opposite of that.
On a different story, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has chaired a high-level intergovernmental budget and economic council meeting, bringing together national and county government officials to discuss budget planning, financial management, and the coordination of devolution matters. Kindiki urged governors to accelerate reforms, warning that genuine pending county debts are hampering service delivery and affecting businesses that rely on government contracts. He called on counties to prioritize the verification of pending bills and settle outstanding debts while working closely with the National Treasury to ensure valid invoices are verified and paid. The meeting was also attended by National Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Badi and Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale.
We have made some good progress, as I have said, around KIPES. Today, we want to make some decisions on how we progress the KIPES agenda. I want to thank my brother Waziri Lee Kinyanjui and PS industry and the teams there for the good progress, and the COG, of course, the relevant COG organs for making sure that that progress, that process on KIPES is expedited.
The government has been urged to release Higher Education Loans Board LB funds on time to enable students to prepare adequately for the third term and avoid disruptions to their studies. Speaking in Kimilili constituency, Bungoma County, politician Abdulaziz Mulama said early disbursement of the funds would help students settle their education expenses and focus on their studies. Mulama was speaking after supporting more than 1,000 students preparing to join different universities in September with basic educational materials. He called on education stakeholders to take more action to ease the challenges facing the education sector, while urging students to work hard and remain focused on their academic goals. Mulama also appealed to politicians to avoid inciting young people during public rallies, warning against using youth to create tensions.
Na naomba serikali ilikuwa imesema kwamba itatoa ile capitation mapema kwa watoto ambao wanaenda universities na colleges. Na waomba kwa moyo mkunjufu baraka ulekimia andu ende saidia watoto wetu. Na wewe mwanafunzi ambao unaenda shule, utafika utakutana na watu wengi, hasa wale ambao mko university. Kuna wanafunzi wako na magari. Kuna wanafunzi wanaletwa na ndege. Wakalinganisha maisha kwa nende kwa kundita. Enda vumilia kama ni miaka 5, soma urudi nyumbani. Mimi nikiwa mbunge, mimi ndasimama na nyinyi.
Naitwa Ruth Nekesa. Nimeitwa kupursue clinical medicine and surgery. According to but there are those delays. Kuna hizo delays ziko kwa help, inangoja till you get the notification of the school, upate admission ziwa tupewe before hata to join shule. Maybe at least you can do 1 to 3 with it. Nimepata at least something small, tunaenda shule, tutatia bidii, tutakuwa the future doctors of the nation, tuta help the people, tuta support.
Waendelee waongeza at least ndo mwanafunzi akuwe satisfied juu kipewa chache, kuna renda hapo, kuna inafaa ni ajikimu kimaisha. Mimi naomba serikali waongeze kidogo ndo at least akuwe sawa. Naona kuna future, akiendelea hivi ndasoma. Nimeitwa Taita Taveta University kusomea mechanical engineering.
Siku ya leo niko na furaha kubwa sana kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Sadamu Junior amefanya kitu chenye sikuwa nimetarajia. Ametupea baki ya mwanafunzi, itamsaidia kubeba vitu zake akienda shule. Hakuna mtu mwingine ameweza nifikiria. Huyu mtoto wangu akisaliwa alikuwa na shida ya macho. Hata miwani yake hii ni 10,000 na ninatoanga Sapatia hospital. Sasa saa hii imefedi, hata anasema akiangalia aoni chochote. Kuomba serikali ama mtu yeyote mwenye anaweza kuwa na uwezo wa kupeana basari ama scholarship saa nini anisaidie.
Heko kwa wote ambao mheshimiwa ametusaidia siku ya leo, ili mbeleni akifanikiwa tunaona matunda yake tutapata zaidi.
Nimemsomesha, nilikuwa nimefika hapo, nimeamua pengine aketi kwa ajili ya shopping. Amenisaidia
kunipiga vita. Mimi nikienda kutafuta naletea watu wangu. Sasa wao wasiende wakinifanyia vitina kila wakati. Wasiniharibie marafiki ambao wananisaidia. Kama wao wana marafiki ama wanapewa kikula, wacha mimi nikipewa nikuje tukule wote, si ndio?
Religious leaders from Nyanza have called on politicians to exercise restraint and avoid early campaigns, warning that premature political activities could disrupt service delivery and fuel tensions. Speaking to the media in Kisumu, the leaders under the Nyanza United Religious Leaders Forum expressed concern over the country's political climate, saying intense political competition was already triggering confrontations and violence in some areas. The forum's leader, Winnie Owiti, also criticized some political leaders for failing to appear before the National Cohesion and Integration Commission after being summoned to respond to allegations against them. The religious leaders have urged politicians across the political divide to remain accountable, promote peace, and put the interests of Kenyans first.
Are calling for all leaders to be responsible for their speeches. We have said that if they use wrong words, destructive words, like some of them have even called for civic war right now. Some of them are asking other people to touch others, block them from going to places. And when they are called upon, they deny, they say that the media is changing their words. I don't think this media can change what I'm saying right now. You cannot drive a nation without knowing what is happening in that nation. We are saying our leaders must be held responsible.
They do is far-reaching in terms of shaping the society, and therefore whatever they put the young people.
The national government has stamped up community policing training as part of efforts to improve information sharing, speed up criminal investigations, and curb rising cases of insecurity and theft in streets and rural areas. Speaking during a community policing awareness meeting in Bungoma Town, National Community Policing Chairperson Richard Okoth urged police officers to work closely with community policing groups to strengthen security and protect residents. The call was echoed by Roslyn Kwamboka, who encouraged women to take an active role in community initiatives and work with police to address security challenges. Bungoma County Community Policing Chairperson Mohamed Wasike said the training would help members understand what information should be shared and with police and what should not, ensuring that reports provided are relevant and useful.
Tunasema usalama ni mashinani. Ukiangalia hizi uniform zetu nyuma, kama mmoja anaweza kupinduka, pengine imeandikwa security starts with you. So mwananchi achukue jukumu la security kama yake binafsi, bila kulipwa ndiye afanye hiyo kazi. Wakora ni watoto wetu, wakora ni mabwana zetu, wakora ni wake zetu, wakora ni mababa zetu. So tukiweza kuweka amani, tutakuwa na amani. Na wasipojulishwa mambo kama hayo, alafu waachie polisi, utapata kama usalama haiwezi kuwa. Kwa hivyo usalama ya kwanza, sisi tuanze sisi wenyewe, tupeane nguvu na tuichukue kama basic need. Vitengo vyote ambao vinataka usalama Kenya, wangependa leo hii tukue na amani, ingewezekana. Because kuna wale wanalipwa na wanakula mshahara kwa ajili ya hiyo kazi, ila tu hawafanyi hiyo kazi.
Lengo letu kuu ni usalama ipatikane katika nchi yetu ya Kenya, haswa kama hapa Bungoma. Kuna changamoto sana ambayo ni ya wizi wa ng'ombe. Ndio tuweze kuwaelimisha ya kwamba jambo hili ambalo linafanyika mahali hapa si nzuri. Community policing ikiwa hapa, wanaweza shirikiana na hiyo wizi inaweza pungua, sababu hatuwezi sema itaisha, lakini itapungua kwa uwezo wa Mungu katika ile kushirikiana na ofisa wetu wa serikali.
Kupitia kwa wakubwa, kwa tupe mafunzo zaidi, tuelewe mtu wa community policing mpaka yako iko wapi, ni kitu gani unafaa ufanye, ni kitu gani unafaa uelekee kwa polisi, ni information gani unafaa kupeleka kwa polisi.
Tupa mafunzo kwa sababu gani? Kule chini nyumbani, yani jirani, tunaangalia watoto wetu wanaenda mashule, wa majirani wanaenda mashule ama bana. Wamama kama sisi, kuna wamama wanatulumiwa, wanapikwa kama mangozi za ng'ombe. Hiyo nikiwa katika hii kidengo, nitasaidia usalama kwa ajili ya hiyo familia ambaye haina usalama.
The government has vowed to take tough action against political leaders, criminal groups and individuals accused of fueling recurrent violence along the Kisii-Narok border. Narok County Commissioner Kip Kech Lotiatia and East Kisii counterpart James Kamau issued the warning during an emergency security meeting at Nyabituna following Sunday's clashes that left 2 people dead and several others injured. The violence also saw farms torched, business disrupted and transport services affected, residents forced to remain indoors amid fears of further attacks. Lotiatia directed security officers to restore peace, arrest suspected perpetrators and dismantle criminal gangs operating along the border. He also warned residents against possessing weapons and engaging in incitement.
Tangu shida ya ifujo na vita ambayo ilitokea katika ile duka ya kuuza mambo ya vileo. Mnaongea wengi mmesema hapo chanzo ya mambo ya vita ni vita ambayo ilitokea kwa baa kati ya watu wawili ambao wanafahamana kabisa, marafiki, na wengine wanasema vita ilianzia kwa sababu mambo ya labda ile bili ile ya pombe ilinunuliwa kule haikulipwa, ndio fujo ikatokea. Wengine wakasema ilikuwa ni mambo hao marafiki wawili ambao ni Masai na Mkisi walikosania mambo yao, deals yao ambayo hakuna mtu ambaye anajua ilikuwa ni nini. Tunasema ilikuwa yao. Wengine wakasema bila wazee wa dini wamesema kulikuwa na mambo ya usharati ambayo yalikuwa yanaendelea katika ile nyumba leo. So atubidi gani? Ilikuwa mambo ya usharati, ilikuwa mambo ya dini narudika, hatujui. Lakini tunasema iwe ni mambo ya dini ambayo ama ni mambo ya usharati, hiyo sio sababu ya sisi kama Wakenya ambao tumeishi pamoja kama majirani tangu jadi tushike silaha na kupigana kwa sababu ati yule alikuwa Mkisii na yule mwingine bwana mwenye alipigwa alikuwa Masai.
Katika sehemu yetu kama Wamasai, sisi tukiongea na vijana watasikia ile nyambaye tutasema hapa na wataisha kudhibiti vijana wetu.
Na tukiangalia kwa ubali, hata kama tunasema ya kwamba shida imetokea kwa baa, kuna uwezekano tuwe na shughuli ama maneno kidogo kidogo ilikuwa inaendelea hapo awali, na mwishowe wakati shida imetokea hapo kwa kinywaji, watu wamechukua msimamo tofauti tofauti.
Tangu shida ya ifujo na vita ambayo ilitokea katika ile duka ya kuuza mambo ya vileo. Mnaongea wengi mmesema hapo chanzo ya mambo.
All right, that story brings us to the end of the first segment, but we are not getting a break. We're just moving on with the newspaper review. This morning we've got the Kenya's Board newspaper, the Standard, and the Daily Nation. Starting off with the Standard newspaper, and this is Kivumbi 2027, 350 days to general election, and this is inside the conclave political gambit. DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua has emerged from his 55-day Wamonyoro political conclave with a clear message. He wants to lead the opposition into the 20% healthcare, agriculture, a bigger role to send it home come 10th August 2027. On the ballot. This is Rigathi Gachagua, DCP leader, and this is a story we're checking from page 4 of the Standard newspaper office, and that's a good report there. And into Trans Nzoia, teenager linked to death of 2 women. Then there is a very interesting story, a very encouraging story here of a teacher from Narok who won world record after publishing 20 books in 2026. Gallo turns years of hardship into any international recognition during a prolonged period with a gold certificate. That Gallo, a Narok teacher who began his education under an acacia tree, published between March 24th and June 28th, 2026, while still continuing his teaching career. Now, for secondary school teacher David Kipinongalo, writing began as a way of giving voice to experiences that are long remained buried within him. This year, it has earned him international recognition after each and independent author from the slopes of Mount Suswa narrow activity. Now, Kenyan geologists have launched a fresh assessment of rising water levels in Rift Valley lakes to establish whether geological changes beneath the Earth's surface are contributing to the phenomenon, now which has displaced communities, submerged farms, and altered wildlife habitats. That's a story you can check for yourself all the way to page 3. We're looking at weather. Kenya on alert as El Nino, and for this predict that El Nino rains may extend into January 2027. The Kenya Meteorological Services Authority has forecast about normal rainfall across most parts of the country during the October, November, December, and this is the OND season, with several regions expected to continue receiving rain beyond December. Nanti, Kakamega, Vihiga, Bungoma, Siaya, Busia, Baringo, Nakuru, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot, Kitui, Nyamira, Kericho, Bomet, Kisumu, Homa Bay, Migori, and Narok are expected to begin receiving rainfall from September, continuing into January. So central Kenya counties, including Nyandarua, Laikipia, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Murang'a, Kiambu, Meru, Embu, Tharaka Nithi, and Nairobi are expected to receive rainfall from the third week of October through January. Now, in eastern region, including Machakos, Kitui, Makueni, Kajiado, Taita Taveta, and inland parts of Tana River, rains are expected from the 3rd or 4th week of October and could continue into January 2027. I think this is all the forecast in eastern region or eastern Kenya, and central Kenya is like the same. Rains may be starting 3 weeks after 3 weeks as we end the month of October. Coastal and northeastern counties are expected to receive rainfall from the 2nd to 4th week of October, with the rains forecast to end by the 2nd week of December. Presenting the ONT national forecast on Monday, this word, right? It's meteorologist Jemima Kasheru said rainfall would vary across the country, but the overall outlook pointed to wetter than normal conditions. The signal is very consistent. Then much of the country is likely to receive above average rainfall, and this is what he said. Now, we're moving away from the issues of El Nino to dispute to account freezes TSC social media gag against teachers, and this is something or a story that we've been following up on too. Now, away from that story, we are looking at over 150 first-year students apply for university scholarships. Rising university and enrollment is putting unprecedented pressure on government funding. Hundreds of thousands of students are expected to depend on scholarships and loans this academic year. There is a promise that our president gave about these students. Maybe we're waiting to see whether it all materialized. Now, we're looking at the acting chief executive officer and director general of the university's funding, Edwin Wanyonyi, before the education committee. We're looking at university scholarships and key figures. We're looking at 159,551 first-year students who had completed HEF portal applications by August 20th, then 150,403 applications that include a university's fund scholarship. We're looking at 149,761 scholarship and loan applications, 642 scholarship-only applications. Then we're looking at 9,148 students who applied for loans. Only 5,732 applications still ongoing or incomplete. 133 students placed in public universities for 2026-2027. Now, 608,879 projected scholarship beneficiaries in 2026-2027. 78 billion Kenyan shillings approximate cumulative government scholarships to public university students from 2023 to 2024 and again to 2026 to 2027. 30.1 billion government scholarships allocated for 2026-2027. 47.9 billion scholarships dispersed between 2023 and 2024, again 2025 and 2026. 2.5 billion initial allocation to university released in August. Now we're looking at 19.96 billion disbursed to private universities under the differentiated unit cost framework since 2016 to 2017. 270,715 candidates who attained C+ and above in the 2025 KCSE compared with 62,581 in 2017. 408,817 public university students reached through scholarships in 2025-2026. August 31st, 20 applications. And yes, so if you're doing this application, so you've got only few days to do that. So page 4, it's a continuation of the top story where Gachagua ends 55-day conclave, shifts the focus to opposition speak, where former DP says mobilization against Ruto is largely complete as opposition faces other task of picking flag bearer. Conclave brought together politicians and grassroots leaders while DCP gained alliances beyond Mount Kenya. Now, we can see Democracy for Citizens Party leader Rigathi Gachagua delivering his conclave report at his Wamunyoro residence in Nyeri yesterday. I want to ask for a partnership between the two parties as we also engage others. The more the merrier. In case I'm not picked, my supporters and I must back a man who is chosen to be the presidential candidate. Now, we're leaving that to a different story, or maybe a continuation of the same, where in politics, Rigathi declares self best Ruto challenger in others. If others back him, that's a story. You can do it for yourself. Then we look at politics again, where DCP leader Kenyans told me how the Kenya they want look like. So if you're interested in that story, you can check it from page 4 of the Standard. Page 5, it's all about business. Page 6, Givumbi 2027, as we counting down 350 days to the general election, where Uhuru defies critics as Ruto allies question his political role in 2027. Uhuru's no-sponsor declarations failed to quell speculation over his influence ahead of the 2027 general election. Ruto supporters question his involvement in active politics, while his allies defend his constitutional rights. So we can see him pictured with President William Ruto. Now we away from that story or something or a statement from the former president. When I expressed my views of some matters, I'm told that having retired, I should remain silent. I did not see such sentiments directed at my predecessors or Kenyatta, the retired president. That is what he is saying. Now, away from that story to Gachagua appearing before NCAC over incitement claims, and that's a story we've just given out in politics. Nyoro or its back against claims he is secretly working with Ruto. Now, this is a story you can be so much interested to read. Now, where Kiaru MP Ndindi Nyoro has spoken about the growing political realignment in Mount Kenya, acknowledging the political tightrope he now walks after distancing himself from his former allies in the ruling United Democratic Alliance (UDA). In a candid interview, Nyoro admitted that his previous close ties with President William Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza administration had left him vulnerable to suspicion from both sides. He insisted, however, that this decision to leave UDA was deliberate, difficult, and necessary. Nyoro said he would work with opposition parties to agree on a common presidential candidate, but stopped short of declaring his own ambitions. That's just part of the story. You can continue. Now, from page 7, we're looking at an advert here and an alert. Buyer beware. Re-advertisement by Garam auctioneers on sale of dairy properties. Karen, Nairobi. Here we can see Honorable Raphael Tuju is GH Chairman Dairy Limited. Now we are bringing to the attention of the public the shenanigans involving the forced sale of Dairy Limited properties on Gong Road, 7 acres, and Tree Lane, 20 acres. Of course, these are prime properties that have attracted the covetous lust for land by non-Arab mashambas acting directly or through proxy. So this is a warning to any buyer, so please check it, and it's written by Honorable Raphael Tuju, EGH Chairman Dairy Limited. Page 8 of the Standard this morning. No degree requirement to run for elective position, IEBC clarifies. Now, where are we going as a country? Now, degree, I think a degree is not so hard to achieve or to have, but when we lower ourselves into this level, this is to mean any person coming in may just get into an elective position, or if ever they deliver or they fail to deliver, it's all right. So you can see IBC declaring or making it very clear that no degree requirement to run for elective position, and this is a clarification from IBC. Now IBC says candidates seeking elective office next year need not to hold university degrees following a court ruling. Now Commissioner says voter numbers could rise to 28.5 million, pushing polling stations to 55,000 at driving election costs. The Independent Election and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has clarified there is no degree requirement for any elective cost. Let me not go further, because I'm looking at the disadvantage that we bring ourselves into if we just bring anybody to these selective positions. As we stand today, there is no requirement for a degree for anybody. We do not have the requirement for a degree anywhere. This is Dr. Ann Teritu, IBC Commissioner. Now, all the way from that story to Nairobi, and where Kotu is rethinking union recruitment as I reshapes workplace. Now, Kotu Assistant Secretary General and this administration Adams Barasa is of that story, and you can check it in Nairobi. Court halts insurance cover requirement for foreign tourists. Away from that story, it's a business story. The Bank of Baroda Kenya Limited, then a public notice, County Government of Isiolo, the Department of Economic Planning, Budgeting and Statistics. Then we also have AUDA NEPAD, African Union Development Agency, Kisumu National Polytechnic letter of invitation for bidders. So if interested, you can check that on page 9. Ken Edwin Sifuna, Rekendo Kijana wa Malwas Luya, political dream. Remember, this is Kivumbi 2027 and 350 days to the general election. 23 years after Michael Kijana Wamalo's death, his dream of Luhya unity remains elusive. His legacy raises fresh questions about whether Edwin Sifuna can finally transform the region's numbers into presidential power. And you can see the former Vice President Kijana Michael Wamalo pictured. Is may his soul rest in peace, or keep resting in peace. If it's not too much on Wamalo's stature, Sifuna must raise his political stakes, demonstrate presidential maturity, and above all present a clear and credible program of what Linda Mwananchi offers Kenya. So that's a story you can check for yourself, and you can also look at Wamalo's here. Then we are looking at again page 11. It's about national news, and this is Kivumbi 2027 at 350 days. Our social media is fueling Kenya's tribal fault lines. A new report warns digital spaces are becoming battlegrounds for ethnic hate, misinformation, and political spin. There are growing fears that these online divisions could spill over into a real-world conflict. So you can check it for yourself all the way to Kilifi. Italian investors accuse DCI of taking sides in property dispute. Page 12. This is the opinion on the Standard newspaper this morning. I don't want Kenya or any Kenyan to be subjected to ICC. That is usually a court of last resort. What we are experiencing has not met the threshold of ICC. These leaders. Remember, this is an opinion, and this is a statement from Musalia Mudavadi, Prime Cabinet Secretary. Editorial this morning: stop squandering our children's present and future. So you can read it for yourself. Then the caricature this morning, we're looking at English grammar revision, and we are looking at words. Then there is a teacher there. Edwin, can you construct a sentence using the word term? So we are pushing politics from the world of politics to the world of education, and there is a teacher here. They are trying to do English grammar revision, and it's all about what, and Edwin is being asked about making a sentence using the word term. And I think from the caricature this morning, Edwin is the Edwin we really know, and the teacher, I think this is someone you also need to know, and he's sharing something, and you can see the students here, or the pupils, or the learners, are uniformed in green and yellow. So you'll definitely understand what this means now. It's now only one term, and we will be out of here. So the people, or the learners in green and yellow, you will definitely understand which political party they represent. So interesting. Check it from page 12, the caricature this morning. 2 mothers gone battles in the case for reproductive justice. Check that story for yourself. Then we are looking at a statement or a plea here on NCIC summons, and these the leaders who have been summoned, they are not responding to the same, or they are not respecting or honoring the summons. So page 13, we're looking at different stories here. If interested, you can check. Then page 14 of the Standard, we're looking at Luhya land and presidency. Will Sifuna fulfill the old prophecy? If interested, check it on there. But a statement: the real test now is whether Sifuna can transform enthusiasm into organization, money, policy, and a genuinely national coalition. Luhya votes alone cannot produce a president, but neither can the old formula of waiting for the Raiders' corner. On the Standard newspaper, we're looking at the environment, we're looking at the issue of loans, we're looking at the issues of wedding, and this is Charlene's love story is worthy of a celebration. We are looking at what's out from the web, and we're also looking at what's out from X. So you can check that for yourself. Then maybe the last story on the Standard: 2027 election is months away, but Treasury is already spending for it. Now, as the politics eats up, expect more downward and upward revisions, and don't be surprised if we get some front-loaded 2027-2028 spending. We can see National Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Badi pictured. He appeared before the National Assembly's Trade Committee at Bunge Towers in Nairobi on July 21st, 26.5.32 trillion, the projected government expenditure for 2027-2028, nearly 400 billion above the estimate contained in the 2026-20 budget policy statement. So worrying. So you can check that story from page 16 of the Standard newspaper. Quickly to the Daily Nation this morning. Re-arrest drama as lawyer faces murder charge in Dr. Mutiso killing. This is a story from page 2. We're looking at TSC jobs scandal. Page 10, unions are outraged after National Assembly Speaker to MP saying this amounts to an administration that political patronage influences hiring. We can check that story from page 10. Then we're looking at workers struggling to pay school fees, rent and loans. We're looking at a salaries crisis eating counties. Then we're looking at 21 is the number of counties where staff are in distress. We're looking at Bomet County. We're looking at Baringo, Bungoma, Omabay, Isiolo, Kitui, Kisii, Kericho, Kwale, Laikipia. We're also looking at Lamu, Meru, Nakuru, Nairobi, all the way to Siaya, Tharaka Nithi, Taita Taveta, Tana River, Turkana, Trans Nzoia, and Vihiga. Now, Controller of Budget Margaret Nyakango says 6 counties are ready to submit their budgets for 2026-2027 financial year. Now, county employees have not been paid for the past 2 months following a standoff between county governments and the Controller of Budget, Margaret Nyakango, on budget approvals. The story from page 4 and 5. Now, Gachagua flags a dodgy election technology firm. Now, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua alleges the electoral agency has turned to controversial South Korean firm for an election system, sparking a dispute at the procurement board. Now, we're looking at here's that story there. Then we get to page 2 of the Daily Nation, where it's a manhunt, a detective seeking Interpol's help to trace 2 fugitive police officers connected to the matter. We're looking at Angela Mulo at the Milimani Law Courts yesterday. She is a suspect in the murder of Dr. Victoria Mutiso. Now, after re-arrest, lawyer to face murder charge in Dr. Mutiso killing. Now, this is a follow-up story. You can check it from page 2 of the Daily Nation. The 3rd page, we're looking at an assistance here where Diaspora Affairs Department liaised with Saudi authorities to conduct repatriation. After more than a year, apparent baby Precious reunited with a mother. That's a very interesting story. I am happy to have my child back. It has not been easy for me and I have been unwell, but now I will be okay. I am grateful to the government departments that helped us. This is Miss Penina Wajiro. More story from the same page. KTDA, Kenya Tea Development Agency, hoardings invitation to tender. If interested, check that on page 3 of the Daily Nation. Page 4, we're looking at finances, where counties are required by law to have their budgets approved by the Controller of Budget before they can throw money to implement them. Workers suffer a salaries crisis. It's over 21 counties. I've given that, and you can check it for yourself. And we are looking at the continued delay in the submissions of the financial year 2026-2027 budgets poses significant risk of financial paralysis, and this is from the Controller of Budget, Margaret Nyakango. And we're looking at something at a glance here. where county budget process and control of budget reporting milestones. Now, the statutory framework includes specific points where counties must submit their budgetary documentation to the Office of the Controller of Budget for approval before execution. The integrated development planning is issued by August to allow counties to draft the annual development plan. This is what we call ADPs. Now, the plan is submitted to the County Assembly by August every financial year. The budget circular is issued by August 30th. The County Treasury issues guidelines to all departments with copies of the circular shared with the CRB and the National Treasury. The fiscal strategy paper is issued by February 28th to pave the way for the County Treasury to submit the county fiscal strategy paper. This is CFSP to the County Assembly for approval. Then once approved, a copy is sent to the COB. By April 30th, budget estimates are submitted. Then we're looking at public participation on the estimates takes place in May. Now, the County Assembly passes the County Appropriation Bill by June 30th. Immediately after the Governor signs the bill into law, the County Treasury must submit the enacted Appropriation Act, the approved itemized budget and the voted estimates to the COB. The COB uploads these documents into IFM, or what we call IFMIS. Then we look at counties cannot draw money from the county revenue fund without the approval of COB. And for every withdrawal, the county treasury must submit a formal requisition, a cash flow plan and proof of project approvals to the COB. Now, the county treasury must submit a quarterly budget implementation report to the COB within 30 days after the end of each quarter. This report contains detailed statements on actual revenue collected and expenditure or expenditures made. A different story on page 5. It's all about business from Samia Africa. You can check that for yourself. Then page 6, we're looking at decision 2027 election. Former deputy president says opposition unity is essential to defeating Ruto in next year's vote. Gachagua raises alarm over IBC contract, and you can see that for yourself. And he's saying, Kenyans told me that we should put in place a new administration to fix the broken systems in education, healthcare, security, and agriculture. Away from that, decision 2027 again, we're looking at a coalition where Wanga says they will go into broad-based negotiations with an open mind, where ODM sits on policy demands in partnership with UDA. Now, we're looking at President William Ruto during the interview at State House, Nairobi on Friday last week. Also, ODM chairperson Gladys Wanga, also the Homa Bay governor at Bunge Tower in Nairobi on June 16th. Orange Party wants zoning, stronger devolution, equitable wealth sharing, and social protection included in the manifesto. We are looking at rivals come partners. We are looking at how prepared are you for the 2027 general election. We're also looking at how does the party intend to preserve the legacy of Raila in coalition with UDM, and what policies and governance issues would ODM demand their implementation should you form the next year government with Dr. Ruto. What would be your irreducible minimums? Then how would you implement without causing acrimony? Then do you feel weakened by the exit of Linda Mwananchi leaders? Then does the party regret its decision to kick out Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, its Secretary General? Then would Raila have done the same under similar circumstances? Then how does the party plan to retain its traditional basis into the face of the falling out with Linda Mwananchi team? Page 8. Of the Daily Nation, we're looking at a controversy where commissioner technology providers are previously denied stakeholders access to information. Our MPs have stalled law giving IBC control of poll technology. So check that story for yourself. We're looking at the meat export. Check that story from page 9 of the Daily Nation. We're looking at something unfair where unionists say legal practice disadvantages those who do not have connections to political leaders, and we're looking at unions in an uproar over teacher employment letters. And we can see Speaker Wetangula revealed that MPs are given TSC teacher employment slots during State House visits. This is a very sad story. You can check it from page 10. Then we're looking at 10, the number of teacher employment letters Speaker Moses Wetangula said an MP gets from State House. Then we're looking at schools gets 18.5 billion part, capitation still at 28% short. We're looking at an advert here. Check it for yourself. It's about TPS East Africa PLC. Check that for yourself. We're looking at a forecast meeting prioritizes disaster preparedness and reducing billions owed by the 47 county governments, where Kindiki calls for greater reading or readiness for El Nino. Then we're looking at 81 billion sum in shillings that Nairobi County owes in pending bills, accounting for the largest share of the 156.84 billion owed by all the 47 county government. We are looking at the 5th National Mental Wellness and Counseling Conference. You can check that for yourself. The theme will be creating mentally health workplaces from awareness to action. Then we're looking at Crawford Cambridge results, and it's a congratulatory message to all this, and you can check the story for yourself. Now page 14, we're looking at a sense or an aspect of counting losses where brokers have set up camp in the South Rift, where farmers have reported lower harvest this season. New subsidies give relief to maize farmers. We're looking at 78 billion amount the government has spent on subsidized fertilizer since the program was introduced in 2022. We're looking at Amity University. There's a story. If interested, you can check it from page 15. Then we'll revolving door, that is Kenya's deputy presidency. So check that story for yourself. Then honest and termed potential of e-payment. Through we ending the newspaper review this morning with the Daily Nation. So thank you for watching the two segments, the morning live updates, the newspaper review. My name is Jeffery. Somba. God bless you. The team making this bulletin and this program a success. May God bless you. We wish you a very, very beautiful and a very fruitful day, and have yourselves a good morning. My name is Jeffery Somba.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
You've seen them on TV.
Nakushukuru Mungu wangu kwa kunifikisha hapa.
But do you know their stories? Come with me.
If people look at me,
yes,
even before they hear me, will they see Jesus?
Wezi ambia watu mimi am a worshiper, na wakati you are worshiping people can't encounter God.
Ukisoma hiyo inabidi sana katika ile maisha yako, hata kama kwamba hauimbi.
Join me, Teddy Salmist Mwana Wengolo Mosio, every Tuesday and Thursday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. only on EBN TV.
Rema Feast 2026. Heaven is summoning the nations to Uhuru Park, Nairobi. 5 unforgettable days of revival, prayer and transformation. Deep worship. Prepare to encounter God,
the light of the gospel for a greater Kenya.
Ministering this year. Rema Feast 2026. Starting Monday, August 31st to Friday, 4th September, daily at Uhuru Park, Nairobi. Come, let us rebuild.
My life will never, ever be the same again. In Jesus' name, amen.
Attention executives, business owners, entrepreneurs, and marketplace leaders. Your divine appointment